Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. We just got the weekly insurance registration numbers in China. We can see that Xpeng did really great again, 7,000, although down a little bit compared to the last week. But we know that last week was the end of the month, so most of these companies had a really strong end of November. Even for Nio, you can see that they had 5,900 total in last week and 5,130, which actually is good. Nio is now averaging around 5,002 to 300 over the past 4 weeks. So that's nothing to be sad about, in my opinion. The only thing is that the classical Nio deliveries are a little bit on the low end, and actually Onvo, I'm quite happy with Onvo ramp up. 1800 last week, 1413 now, with a nice realistic path of maybe let's say 15 1600 next week, another like 16 17 1800 week after that, and finishing around 2000 by end of the month. Or if we are supposed to believe the management, then we should definitely start to see a ramp to close to 2000 deliveries already next week, 2500 week after, and 3000 the week after that. Is that realistic? I don't think so, but I think we can see them finishing strong with like 2500 by end of December for sure. 2500 by end of December, another 2000 the week before that, that's 4.5. If we get like 1500 the next week, and we already have around 1500 this week, then we are already up to another 3000, which is 3000 plus 4500. That's 7.5. So I think 7.5 is possible. I definitely think 7.5 is possible. Definitely 7,000. That's still a distance to 10,000. But if if we see next week this time that, oh damn, they managed to deliver another 1800, it shows that they are really, really ramping up quickly. And then 10,000 is in play, at least 9,000. So I'm quite happy with Nios numbers. And to be honest, Nios problem is never been over this last 4 years the sales that they have, because you can see that they increased their sales from more than doubled from 20 to 21, increased with a healthy 30 to 35% again to 22, then added another 20 to 30% to 2023, and are projected to, let's say, 210 220,000 this year, a little bit shorter than I expected, let's say in August or September. But still, 220,000 deliveries this year, it's very strong for Nio, knowing that next year they'll definitely break 300,000, maybe 350,000 even. So for Nio, that's never been the problem. The problem for Nio is this: look at the battery swap stations and the utilization. Even at peak hours, we are from 9 in the morning to 9 in the evening, we are talking like on average 4.5 to 5,000 swaps per station, right? Now, how many swap stations are there in China? Currently they have 2,767 swap stations, which means that even at the peak hours, most of these swap stations are doing 2 swaps per hour or 1 every half an hour. And for this, we are still not considering the hours during the night and late evening, where the swaps per stations are going well below 1 per station. Actually, there are some hours in the evening where we are talking that the swaps per station are going to like 1 swap for every 5 or 6 stations. Sure, they are obviously, people are sleeping in the morning, but even like 1 in the morning, we are talking at 1500. So we are talking that they are doing around 1 swap for every 2 stations. This means that the utilization of the swap stations are not that high, and we can see it here. We can see that if you take the 2,770 or so swaps right now, and they are doing roughly 70 or 80,000 daily swaps on average, that's just below 30 swaps per station. Higher than how we started the year with around 23, but still, not close to the 60 or so that we want to see, which would be the kind of break even. That being said, the other sales is kind of trending in the right direction. Remember that I've been tracking this for a while now, and you can see the cost of other sales is in white and the actual other sales is in blue, and the green is the difference between them. And currently the difference between them, we are talking, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see that if I zoom in there. The red number was 29.9 was Q2, and 24.7 delta was in Q3, so the previously the last earnings essentially. And they are trending to be break even by sometime next year, or very very early 2026, probably end of next year. So they are definitely moving in the right direction. I think they are making a lot of money on the other sales very very soon. And actually, you see the actual number was 282 million for the Q2 of this year, and probably by this time next year we are getting closer to 400 million or so on other sales. So a lot of stuff for Nio is kind of also looking good, but the problem is that it's not like they cannot make profit. It's just like the management had decided to invest that money that could make them closer, push them closer to a profit, which I think would affect the stock price and be much much higher valued. They kind of decided, we don't care about the stock price in the short term, and short term could be 1, 2, 3 years, like we have seen over the past 3 years since the peak in 2021. They just decided, we're gonna build infrastructure. Could in the long run be really really nice bet, but for an investor, if that means that in the up and coming 1 or 2 years you still continue on this same detrimental way for the stock price, then the question should be asked, why are we investing in this company at this stage? Maybe then, even if I am a bullish Nio supporter, maybe at this case it's better to say, okay, you know what, they're not gonna care about the stock price at the moment, let's park my money in somewhere else. I could go to Tesla, I could go to maybe AMD, in different segment of the market in the semiconductor space that is currently offering nice valuation. 18 months from now, 1 year from now, or every quarter, I look at Nio again and see, okay, maybe now it's a better time to go back to Nio. Why should I put my money in this company if the management so clearly doesn't care about the stock price? I think that's one of the discussion. Doesn't mean that you don't believe in Nio. I've never said that they're gonna go bankrupt. Not by at all. This company will be there for sure, in my opinion. 99.9%. In 2030, it's gonna be one of the most important companies on the planet. But as an investor, is it correct to put your money in Nio right now? I think that question is much more open to the discussion that I would have loved to, or actually wanted to believe at this time. But I think that's the problem with the company. Look at Xpeng. They're not doing great for this year, but at least these guys are very close to the 52-week range, upper end of that, whereas Nio is the opposite. They are very close to the bottom of that 52-week range. And that is a story of Nio over the past many years. You can also quickly see that there are some good stuff happening. The lithium carbonate price seems to have been stuck below 80,000 for the past half a year almost. So that is definitely at some point gonna really really affect the margins. The battery, which is a big cost for all these electric vehicles, but that's gonna affect everyone: Tesla, Nio, Xpeng, LiAuto, and so on and so forth. So my takeaway is that if they just could for a moment just hit the brakes a little bit on the build out of the swap station. We have the facts here. They are not utilized. I don't know what people say on Twitter. The swap stations are not utilized to the extent that some people say. We have definitely enough swap stations at the current fleet size, and also taking into account the expansion of the fleet size, to fully support that fleet with the number of swap stations that we have now, and still maybe build out another 10 every month instead of another potentially 50 to 100 a month. Save a lot of money, make the net loss much less, and show a much closer and quicker path to profitability for the stock. That way, give some confidence to the stock market, to the investors, to the Wall Street people that are kind of out in Nio. Make that the market cap goes up a little bit, and then by all means, when the market cap is 20, 30, 40 billion, dilute the share by 10%, 5%, I don't know, whatever you want. Take in those extra 2 to 5 billions and build 5,000 swap stations in 2 years. Isn't that the better way? Honestly, I simply don't see why people don't see this. But so that's gonna do it for today. Please like, subscribe, and Most importantly, engage in a discussion in the comment section, and see you in the next one.